Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? Let's start in a bit. We'll just wait for a few more minutes for people to join. Oh, my battery's so low. How's it going, guys? How's your day? I'm so excited for the shoot tomorrow. There's so much good information. Very, very excited for tomorrow. Today, by the way, guys, I think before people come, let me tell you, I was doing some reading yesterday, right? I was seeing why Tata Alexi went up so much. No, not Tata Alexi, sorry. Why did Explio go up so much? Like, why did it rally 82% in a month? Correct? Yeah. There was actually an event trigger where, as Davneet says, there is an amalgamation happening, like a merger kind of a thing. And the amalgamation is basically they're putting all their other companies together under one roof. All the other Explio solutions of Germany, different countries, everything's coming under one roof. Explio Group, yes. Now, automatically, liquidity is going to be sucked out a little bit. 75% is going to be with the promoters. The asset base is going to go higher. It's going to be a debt-free MNC, zero debt MNC. That means margins will do well. Their revenue will go up. Their synergies will go up. I mean, everything goes up due to that. So that is why it has been rallying from the last 1 month. Crazy, right? I'll tell you exactly what is happening. Wait. Yeah, they released an article. I was thinking, why is it going up so much? Let me show you what it is basically. Not show you. Let me tell you what is exactly happening. So full night I was reading the value picker. Everything's written on that. What is happening? There's one guy called Balki who's very vocal about this, and he's apparently one of the top 10 shareholders. This value picker guy is in the top 10 shareholders of Explio. Um, yeah, tell you it. किधर गया? So where is this full massive discussion? Post amalgamation annual turnover as of now will be 572 crores. I think now it is at around 300 crores. Okay. Um, yeah, Explio and Happiest Minds both are on very, very, very overvalued. So what happened was basically post amalgamation annual turnover will be 572 crores. Currently, it's at 300 crores. Correct. So currently it's at 300 crores. It will become 572 crores, almost double. EPS will go to around 150. The parent stake will go up to 71%, and people are predicting that they have to do a buyback to make it up to 75%. So people are predicting that there will be two buybacks that will happen. One sec. One sec. Yeah. So people are predicting that the buyback is on the cards. Why buyback is on the cards? Because they had done a buyback recently in the past as well. Correct? So what they're predicting is that the revenue should go up, the EPS should go up, and also because it is owned by Adrian, which is who's a PE. The PE would want to unlock as much value as possible and then give it off to someone and run away, right? Or sell it off to someone and run away. So that is the thing that is in the question. Now let's see what is going to happen. But because of that, uh, no, because of that, too much upward movement has happened, right? Now, I don't know whether this is, I don't know what is the real value of this, to be honest. I don't know what is the fair price anymore, because now only after the amalgamation happens or only after the merger happens, we will come to know whether it is true or not, right? Till then, we don't know what is the scene. But it is a very interesting thing to be looking at. Definitely, the only one good thing I like about it, I don't know whether you guys have seen the shareholders of this company who are backing this company. I don't know if you've seen the backers. Okay, let me just tell you who the backers are. So basically, what's going to happen is there. Wait, let me find that one article. Beautiful it was. What was written? One second, guys. I'm just finding that. Give me a sec. So much. I was reading full night yesterday. Full tension I got off. I'm like, what is this? Why is it going up so much? Is it good to invest? Should I invest more? Because I'd invested good amount and then I removed a little bit and then I'm feeling bad. You know that FOMO kicks in of not investing too much. So today actually when it fell down, yeah, Infobeans is just going a 5% upper circuit almost every other day. That is one more weird rally that's happening. We try to find this one second. Mr. Balki. So I know for a fact in Explio, right, what's happening is that a lot of big industry backers are there. If you know what I mean by big industry backers. So basically, what is happening is the total net worth of the company is going to grow from 160 crores to 420 crores after the merger. Asset base is going from 230 crores to 570 crores. Basically, both of them are going to double. Sales are going to go from 300 crores right now to 574 crores after the merger, right? This is what is this crap? One second. Remove from Chrome. Some weird Chrome extensions come off. Yeah. Public shareholding will drop down from 43% to 28%. That means there is going to be a liquidity crunch in the market, right? So only 28% will be held. So we will be getting approximately two and a half times more on net worth, two and a half times more on asset base, 1.9x sales for approximately a 33% dilution, which in the long term, if you keep it, the market will definitely adjust and everything might go up. I don't know whether it will go up or not, but it might go up, right? And people are saying that there might be a buyback that happens because in 2019 also they had done a buyback. So a lot of people are predicting a good buyback to happen as well. So we'll have to see. Apparently they are merging because they have a lot of cash cows in the different businesses as well. So that is why people are also predicting that this is very good. Again, all speculation, but it seems something is brewing. That is why I'm giving it the benefit of doubt. I mean, see, for me, now you guys want to know how I think, right? If you guys want to know how I think about things, one second. Wait, bro, Shashank, just give me one sec. Let me just finish this. If you want to know how I think, the way I see it, I only weigh my odds, right? Probability of risk versus return. That's what I usually do on a daily basis. I try to understand my risk versus my return. Now, if you look at Explio's risk versus return, worst case scenario, Explio is still profitable. Worst case scenario, there is zero debt. Okay, zero debt, profitable company. Zero debt, profitable company. The only thing that can go wrong with a zero debt, profitable company is the sales growth is not great. The sales growth might be a very small sales growth, not a very big sales growth. Worst thing that could happen, right? Uh, but there is no debt, so the company will not shut down tomorrow for sure, right? Unless and until it does some very weird acquisition which is not very good, and if the weird acquisition happens and they lose all their money, all that things might happen. But currently nothing seems to be the problem. Plus it's a global MNC player, So from a risk reward ratio, the risk seems fairly lower, the reward seems slightly higher, right? What will happen in the future? No idea, we have no clue, but the risk seems slightly lower right now. So that is why I am taking a call on that, right? Because I'm assuming that worst case scenario also it will be profitable, so my money won't go down so much. Max to max, it'll be there only for a few years and then it'll surge. But if it goes well, then it'll go up itself. It won't go down, it'll actually go up. That is what the assumption is. You got my understanding, the way I think. Now, I'll tell you who are the people who have invested in this company, right? Nandan Nilakarni, who's Infosys guy, Nilekani, who is the son of the Infosys guy, Rajasthan Global Securities. There's a very famous PMS called by Saurabh Mukherjee. Saurabh Mukherjee runs this PMS called, what is that? Marcellus something, right? So Little Champs PMS of Saurabh Mukherjee, which is of Marcellus, has also invested in this. Explore director Rajiv Kuchal. Rajiv Kuchal is also a former Infosys group director. They hold substantial quantities in Explore solutions. So these guys are like the major investors today. So yeah, so for people asking, did you put more? I put a lot more today. Little late because I already got 85% returns. But today it went down. For the first time, it went down, and then I just, as soon as it went down by 5%, I hoard like 4 5%. I started hoarding it like one mouse. Right? I just kept hoarding it, hoarding it. Now I'm gonna reach my limit. One more, I have to put little more tomorrow. Once I put one little more, it'll be done. RACL, don't worry. RACL is good. Nothing to worry about. What happened in the market today? Market was down by 18. I mean, it went up and down, up and down, up and down four times. So the market is actually closed negative at 18 rupees today. Not very great. Tomorrow is holiday. Yes, I mean, I wouldn't have guessed it that tomorrow would have been a holiday. Tomorrow is definitely a holiday. Rahul, I think the call was too early. You shouldn't have, because this, whatever said and done, maybe in 2 years' time, this will definitely be something really great, right? So that is something you need to look at. Vibe Global, don't worry too much about it, man. It is a fundamentally strong stock. You don't have to worry about it. The $2 3 million loss that they will incur in their Germany factories, what you're saying, does not matter so much, to be honest. Um, why I'm saying it does not matter so much, to be honest, is because the company is fundamentally strong. The revenues are fundamentally strong. 2 3 crore loss on a new business on an upside definitely is not an issue at all, right? If you look at their revenue, it is constantly growing at a very rapid pace. So don't worry too much on this, right? Bought Tata Alexi. Cams is a very nice monopolistic player, very good for a long term perspective, very very long term perspective. That is similar to your IRCTC, and Cams is very similar to who's that other monopoly player? CDSL, NSDL. They're very good players. Like they have the majority of the market share, so it is good. Will you apply for Tatwa? No, I haven't looked at it yet. I haven't gone through that. It's very difficult for me to sit and look at IPO reviews and track all of this at the same time. It's too difficult. Yeah. Manan, I won't give you all that, man. I only do educational stuff here. It's up to you whether you want to or not, right? Suzlon Energy, stay away from it. Not required. Prince Pipes, again, long-term stock, dude. It's Prince Pipes, all the piping, Apollo Pipes. These are all long-term plays, not short-term plays. You have to keep it for a long period of time. They've always given good returns. It's not like they haven't. Also, again, Prince Pipes is also a stock that is fundamentally strong. Revenue is constantly going up. Net profit is always going up. EPS is going up. Debt to equity is 0.08. So don't worry about it, right? Why Just Dial went down? Because there's news that Reliance might be buying Just Dial. Have you heard of that? Crazy news, right? Reliance might be buying Just Dial. Imagine that, how big that acquisition will be. Crazy. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Now, Paytm finally filed for its DRHP. Do you guys know that? Paytm finally filed for DRHP. Uh, Now, who are the people who are planning to sell their money, right? Ratan Tata is among the one of the major investors who wants to sell off some stake and walk away. Even Berkshire Hathaway. right? Berkshire Hathaway is also planning to sell his some stake and walk away. Even Vijay Shekhar Sharma also plans to sell a part of his 14% that he has. So they're all planning to sell little more. Tata stake is actually negligible because he had picked up so imagine this Tata group, right? Ratan Tata had actually picked up a small stake in 2015. 2015 pay he had invested in Paytm. Okay, Tata owns 75,000 equity shares, making up less than 0.5% of the current company. Less than 0.5% of the current company, but no problem because it is still worth a lot. Correct? Definitely worth a lot. So don't no issues at all for what it is. So Tata's selling off 75,000 shares of that. Alibaba is expected to sell a significant portion of its stake, bringing the stake less to 25% and helping Paytm get the status of professionally managed company. Right? Professionally managed company requires every shareholder to own less than 25%. One sec. So rejoin. Professionally managed company basically means that every shareholder has to own less than 25%. So both of them are actually selling a little bit and going away. Now, Vijay Shekhar Sharma is also selling a small portion of his money. But see how he's doing it, guys. For all the people who want to understand how the rich don't pay taxes, please pay close attention. Vijay Shekhar Sharma had transferred 5% of his shares to a company called VSS Holdings Trust, an investment vehicle he launched last year. Right? So basically, he built a trust called VSS Holding Trust, transferred 5% there. Now, whatever revenue that he gets directly goes into that VSS Holding Trust, and with that money, he is going to do a lot of other things, which is basically an investment vehicle. So he can start investing in other startups, he can start investing in companies, he can maybe invest in real estate, he can invest in his own car, he can pay himself a nice salary, a lot of things can happen. This is how rich people try to avoid paying taxes, because if he takes the money directly into his bank account, he will have to end up paying long-term capital gains on such a big amount. He'll have to end up paying long-term capital gains. So to avoid all that, you take it into a trust holding. Understood? Good things you guys should all learn. What happened with Zomato IPO? Zomato IPO, Aarti Surf, I think the result should come anytime soon, right? I mean, July end tak I'm expecting the result. I'll see the result. If it's not a good result, then we will have to switch from to another stock. If it is a good result, you will see a rally of maybe 30-40%. And then we'll exit if you want after that. But it's good. It's in my long-term portfolio. Now, Zomato IPO live updates. IPO subscribed by 38 times on day 3. QIB portion booked 52 times. So IPO has been subscribed 38 times. Such a big IPO. A 9,000 crore IPO has been subscribed 38 times. Can you believe that? Right? It's insane. It's a lot of money. Lot of money. Okay, what else? Paytm shares are in high demand in unlisted market as it files for IPO. It seems obviously people will be start paying premium in the gray market right now. Wow, ICC T20 World Cup 2021, India to face arch rivals Pakistan in group stage of Super 12s. Hmm. Super 12s. So it's 6 versus 6. Very interesting. Do you guys remember at one point, there used to be like 20 teams playing, right? Kenya, Zimbabwe, Ireland in the World Cup, right? World T20. Bermuda at one point, Afghanistan. Yeah, it was Super 20. But now only 12 teams are playing. What? It's quite sad. Have you guys seen this? Have you guys seen this Hassan Minaj's episode on Netflix about BCCI? You should definitely watch it for all the people who haven't seen it. Incredible. Go to Netflix, go to Hassan Minaj's Patriot Act, and watch the BCCI episode. You will be mind blown, quite literally mind blown. Okay, okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'll take one or two questions in the end for someone who asked me. Reliance is planning to also list their company, Reliance Retail, which is very lucrative because they're making um, what do you call that? They're making insane amount of money, by the way, Reliance Retail. So they're also planning to list sometime very soon. Okay. Oh, by the way, Xiaomi, right? I'm gonna put a reel on this today. I'm gonna do global news every Friday. So Xiaomi actually beat Apple. Okay, Xiaomi actually beat Apple as in the global smartphone race by taking more market share than Apple itself. So Xiaomi has 17% market share, Apple has 14% market share, and guess who's number one? Guess who's still number one? Who has the most market share? Guess. Samsung. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Be like, yeah, yes, I am sure. Everyone suddenly went off to Nokia, BlackBerry, which has shut down and gone. Right? So I'm teaching you guys psychology, right? So when you guys are investing in a stock tomorrow, and I'll be like, are you sure? You should not doubt yourself, right? If you doubt yourself, you're not sure, then you should be like, yes, Shashank, I'm sure. I'm going to invest here, whatever it is, right? Life learning lessons. Immediately, everyone turned their thing. Suddenly, from saying yes, everyone started saying no. What is this, guys? Quite disappointing. Okay, next. What happened to IRCTC today? Apparently, I'm not holding IRCTC. I'm waiting for 6.5, 9, 7%. It went up. Sad, dude. I'm not holding it. I thought the IRCTC itself is slow. Xiaomi, I don't know. I thought it was slow. Suddenly it went on the fast track today. So it's quite interesting. Tatva Chintan IPO issued, subscribe 2.4%. What Chintan? This is what Davneet was saying, I think. I have not heard of Tatva. Tatva Chintan Prem Chemicals, initial public offering. Another chemical sector, or what? Oh, how many, dude? We have so many chemical stocks. I can't take any more IT stocks. I feel like I'm done with IT. Too many IT stocks I've invested in today. Not today, but okay, Happiest Minds still up one. Look at Happiest Minds after rallying so much. There's no correction. It's still up by 1%, dude. That means overall buyers is still more than overall sellers. Can you guys believe that? ITC also went up. People are saying, I mean, high time. Yeah, ITC went up by 0.8%. Good job. Whoever said ITC went up. It's still at 207, guys. What? It's not gone up so much also. Again, it'll go down to whatever. Okay, chalo, let me take some questions. There's like 5-10 minutes left. Let me take some questions. Someone had a lot of doubts also. Himanshu, I think, had some doubts. Himanshu, you had a lot of doubts, no?
Hi Shashank. Yeah, I had more than doubts. I also had a few suggestions.
Tell me.
Yeah. So I have a full-time job and I hardly get time. So first of all, thanks to everyone who records and puts it up. I catch up on these videos on a 1 or 2 day lag, and I still look at your old videos, or the videos which you had launched, which you had put up in Feb. Investing in 2021, where you would sort of
Correct.
given a checklist of what to do before thinking of touching any stock. So I just wanted
Yeah,
to know if and I also look at your presentation which is on the Avalon Meta app, where you have explained every parameter in detail of PE, PB,
correct.
how it impacts and how it works. So now that you were talking about a community and everything, uh, can there be a checklist which we can use for ourselves, that because my process usually I follow is eliminating, that if these 10 parameters do not meet, I do not even want to look at it. So that's how I sort of keep avoiding it. And I have also started reading, and I could just fix do my first sort of connect the dots sort of a thing, when I just read an article that IT
Hmm.
salaries are going up, which is affecting their net profits, which may affect their margins in the short term. Though it's a very insignificant thing, but was a big thing because I could sort of start linking and understanding how things are happening. So
Hmm.
just wanted to know two things, that if there could be a session on the checklist or how to use value picker to just understand how to eliminate, and then also the next point to understand when to exit, because when we look at a 5 year 10 year horizon, there will be 1 or 2 quarters which will be bad, there will be certain external factors which will impact, but it doesn't mean the company has gone bad. So
Correct.
how to sort of stay away from those things. It's like it's easy to enter, but deciding when not to exit is what uh, I'm keen to learn, and I just don't know how to go about it.
See, the only time you exit is when something goes really wrong fundamentally, or when something is not moving at all when it's supposed to move and the world is moving. Correct? For
Yeah.
example, I give you both examples. Okay, so for example, if the world is moving at 15% a year and your stock is moving by 1% a year, then even though it is fundamentally good, but it is not moving, right? So then I might as well switch my gears and go somewhere else. Find something that is both fundamentally good and moving at the same time. The second option is when you exit, is when something goes wrong fundamentally. See, 1 or 2 quarters, if it goes down, maybe because of external reasons, you should not worry about it. We should have that conviction. In fact, when it goes down, you average it out. For example, if you look at all the IT companies right now, they're all rallying for one major reason. Do you guys know why? Do you know why? You have connected the dots, right?
So because everyone's banking on things going digital and increasing usage of AI, ML, and multiple things coming up.
All that is fine. That is everyone's product features are different, right? One product, one feature, everyone has their own features, everyone carved out their niche. But the reason why IT sector goes up is because of the INR dollar conversion rate.
Yes,
Okay, I
yes,
don't know whether you knew this, but to give you an understanding, most of the clients of IT companies are abroad because we are an outsourcing hub, right? So
yeah,
the money that comes in is only from different countries, not from India. India's revenue is barely anything for them. Most of the revenues is coming from outside. Now, if you say one contract, usually their contract is how much, do you know? It's usually $1 million or $1 billion contract, right? So when they did the $1 billion contract, assume they're getting paid 100 million or 100 million, you leave. Assume they get paid $1 lakh, 1 million every year. 1 million every year is around 10 lakhs. Okay. Now, every 1 million, if the rupee goes up by 3 rupees, that is, they're getting 3 rupees more on every dollar. That means in $1 million, they make 30 lakhs more in revenue.
correct, correct. Yeah, and you'd
Correct.
also mentioned this, when we invest in international stocks, we're sort of investing in the dollar going up as well. It's a dual strategy which works.
Correct. Because when you exit the international stock, you're exiting in dollars. So if I had invested in some international stock 3 years ago, okay, do you know what the USD INR rate was 3 years ago?
I guess it was around $50 or something like that.
No, no, 65.
Yeah,
50 was 10 almost 8 years ago. It was around 65, 67. In fact, 70 was like a danger number, right? They were like, oh shit, it's inching towards 70, it's inching towards 70. Now it's gone up, it's inching towards 75. So in fact, if I had invested with at the dollar rate of 65, if I had only invested in the dollar, I would already be 20% up right now.
yeah,
Correct. Now, if I had invested in the stock that went up 30% and 20% extra I've got because of this dollar appreciation, I am on a win-win situation. So IT stocks are going up because of that. So fundamentally nothing is wrong, right? See, for example, say Happiest Minds as an example. Okay, they're fundamentally strong, everything's going well. Now some fire happened in some plant so that they had to shut down that plant for 30 days. Stock price will go down. Why? Because revenue for that quarter will look bad. Correct? Common sense.
yes,
But is
yes.
it fundamentally wrong?
No,
Have the
it's
clients left them and gone away? No.
no.
So usually when these type of things happen, a fire or lockdown or something shut for 15 days, or some renovation or something really wrong happens for 14, 15 days and it shuts down, the stock price goes down. But if it is fundamentally good stock and you have full conviction on it, then you double down and buy it, right? Buy more, buy more, buy more, buy more, buy more. So that is usually what it is. Correct. So you don't exit when it is fundamentally strong. Now if they're fundamentally weak, suddenly their CEO died, okay, assume, even if it's not that extreme, one of their biggest client left or three of their biggest client left, which will reduce their entire operating net worth by maybe sales by 30%. That is when you leave. Correct?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
as soon as they get back a new client which is covering up for that 30%, you invest again. Why I'm saying that is because if you don't leave and they're 30% down, it'll take them maybe 3 quarters to get, or 4 quarters, or maybe more to get that 30% revenue back. Now, why do you want to sit with your money idling, in fact, going down for those 4 quarters? You get out at whatever price you can get out with. Maybe you lose 3%, 4%. It's better than losing 20, 30%. As soon as they cover up the revenue and they're back on the track to go up, you invest again. So it's very common, because I tell you what, right? Just like life, even companies go up and down. Good companies will always survive. Some ups will be there, some downs will be there. So you all enjoy in the ups, but you should support it when it's going down. It depends, right? If it's fundamentally strong and if the down is not great, then no problem. You can just go buy it. But if it's fundamentally bad, then you can exit it. You don't have to be very emotionally attached to it. You'll be like, cool, when you're back to being good, I will come back to you. Till then, I'll find someone else. Because there's always someone who's good at a particular point of time in the stock market.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for this. Just wanted to know if there could be a session again, or something which could be a checklist that which we could use in future, which with which
I
we
think I do
eliminate.
that on the weekend research. I usually talk about that, right? I show you what I do exactly when
I,
someone
I
gives me
I
stock.
try to join this one because of my work. I tend to miss out. I catch up on
Saturday
two
also
three
work.
videos on a lag is what I do that.
Even Saturday you have work. What? Crazy, man.
Sort of because we're into the essential segment, so it is sort of increased. That's why.
Understood. I'll see. I'll try doing one. No issues.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you, Manshu. Yes. Oh, reindeer.
Hello,
Hey,
hello,
Adit, what's up?
how are you?
All good, man. How are you?
Fine, fine. Okay, so I'm kind of new to the stock market, and I've been following you for like 2, 3 months, and the knowledge you've given is immense. So thank you for that. And I have a question right now. How does a gray market function? What is actually a gray market? Can you just explain to me?
Gray market is private market, private listed, unlisted stocks which are not listed in the stock market. So, for example, if you want to buy Avalon shares, how will you buy it? There's no white market, right? You can't go buy it in the stock market. We're not listed yet. So, people usually buy it through brokers to brokers, right? There'll be brokers who are selling Paytm shares, and you find those people and you buy.
Okay, okay, fine. So even retail people can buy in the gray market, is it?
Yeah, but usually there's a see. It's like see, for example, there's a broker. He'll be like, "मेरे पास 100 IPO shares है, Paytm का anyone wants." But the minimum buy-in will be like 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs. So retail people can buy in, but it is extremely expensive for retail people to buy in, is what I'm saying.
Oh, is it sold in lots?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, okay,
Each
okay.
broker has some amount to sell, no? So he wants to sell it off. The demand will be
Oh,
high. See, if you want to buy Paytm shares right now, one guy will have around 357 shares to sell. He'll take his commission, but he wants to sell it off to someone. So that's what it is.
okay, okay. And one more question. And can you, like, when you started your investing journey, like, did you incur any loss, and what was the mistake which you did? Can you share
Bro, I
something
still
with?
incur loss. Bro, what do you mean? I incurred lot of losses. One
No,
second.
I'm sure that you have minimized the losses. And
Yeah.
in the beginning stage, like, what mistakes have you done? Can you just share that? Like, simple
Investing in
steps.
FOMO number one, investing in penny stocks number two, investing because my friend told me to invest number three, not doing good fundamental research number four, uh, investing at the wrong time, right? Mainly it is about when you invest and what time you invest, right? So investing at the wrong time, investing at the peak, when something's rallying too much, invested at the top and then it goes down, you're screwed. So a lot of
Okay.
mistakes. I still keep doing some mistakes. So it's all about. I mean, I've minimized my risk because I'm very unemotional when it comes to investing. So I have my predetermined stop loss that I will remove as soon as it hits that stop loss, right?
Oh, okay, okay, fine. Okay, bro. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Hey, Bhunesh, what's up?
Hi Shashank, how are you?
One sec. On green tea, Madhyala. What's up, man? Tell me.
So Shashank, I want to know like what economical factors we should look at while investing. Like, uh, I've seen that some people say we should look at what are uh, rates on home loans, and what are bank
Hmm.
repo rates and all that.
Hmm.
So how should we check, and what are the things and ratios and interest rates we should check and
See,
be
I'll tell
updated
you.
about them?
Correct, correct, correct. It is very important to be updated because that is what macroeconomics is, and macroeconomics invariably leads to microeconomics, and that leads to your bank account. To be honest, right? That shows how
Yes.
the shift of entire market is. Now, it is very important to understand how macroeconomics work with respect to repo rates. Our entire economy is like a tap. Okay, it's like a tap and a bucket. Assume that philosophy.
Yes.
No, you know that in the current market there is too much liquidity. Means too much money is in the market right now.
Hmm.
So, for example, in savings account right now, what is the interest you're getting if you keep your money in the savings bank account, savings account?
3%, 3.5%,
3%,
something.
4%, very less, right?
Hmm.
So would you keep it there?
No.
No. So you would invest it somewhere else. Now, do you
Somewhere
know all
else.
this is by design?
Hmm.
It's purposely done in such a way where the savings rate and the FD rates look unattractive so that normal people have to start spending or investing their money outside and everywhere else. Right? This is what they usually do.
Hmm.
Correct? Now, sometimes you will see another trend in the market. Suddenly, you'll see record high interest rates, record high, what do you call that? Record high fixed deposit rates, where they're curbing the liquidity in the market. They're boosting savings more than spending. So it is a tap, right? There is one growth cycle where the government will in fact boost spending. They will push more liquidity into the system, like it's happening right now. They will ensure you spend more. So look at the beauty of what they've done. Okay, just look at the beauty of what they've done. They have reduced fixed deposit and savings account interest rate. Correct? That means if you keep your money in your bank account, it's useless. So might as well buy something or invest it somewhere. Now, what are the typical investment schemes that happen in India? There is stock market, there is gold, and there is real estate.
Real
Correct?
estate. Yes.
Now, stock market, they're anyway investing because there's a bull rally going on. Why is the bull rally going on? Because too much money is there in everyone's hands. So they've all come into the stock market to invest. You understand that part?
Yes.
Now, when you come to real estate, they have made the home loan interest rate the lowest it has ever been in so many years, 6.75%, which ideally it's at 9%. What is that saying? They're like, see, it's so cheap. Start buying houses. Anyway, you can't keep it in the savings. You want to do investment. You have more money in your hand. Start buying houses. Okay, boosting demand for real estate sector goes up, everyone's happy. Correct? So 6.75% is cheap, so I'll buy it right now. Okay, then what
Yes.
about gold? Gold also, they cut the import duty cost, they cut this, they cut that, made gold look more attractive. So they're boosting all of this. Now if you are running the country and you suddenly said, okay, you know what, when something like this happens, when you boost demand in the economy, do you know what is the counter effect of boosting demand in the economy?
Uh,
What happens if you do this? Inflation kicks in.
Inflation. Okay.
Yeah. Why? Because there is 10 people now who want the same property. Because
Hmm.
it is 6.5%. You all have money. Everyone wants that one property in Chembur. Okay. So the demand for that goes up. Artificial inflation. It's not real, right? But artificially the price is going up. Why? Because it's demand driven. So it's called demand cost push inflation, demand pull, one of that, right? Something related to that. But it is a demand push inflation, right? Because of the demand, the economics is going up, or because of the demand, everything is going up. Now what happens is inflation goes up. So if you see inflation right now, it is very common, right? In a growing economy, inflation has to happen because it is demand is going up in a growing economy. Now if you want to cut down inflation, you tell me what to do.
To cut down inflation, I will
Or you
increase
cut
my.
down everything, cut down this over inflation of, everyone has too much money in their hands. You want to reduce the money in the system, you want people to not spend so much. What would you do? You would do exactly the reverse. You would
Yes.
desensitize a lot of things. Now what will happen? Right, firstly what they will do is they will tell you that savings bank account and fixed deposit rates are back to 6%, 7%.
Hmm.
Now you'll be like, wow, 6-7%. Let me just put it in fixed deposit. Why should I go spend my money outside? So savings and fixed deposits become attractive. Home loan interest rates will go very high suddenly.
Okay.
Correct? Now you can't go buy home loan because it is very expensive for you to buy a home loan. You'll be like, instead of that, let me just keep it here. Right? Then all the other things will go up. Taxes slightly will increase. Then your other, what do you call that? stock market may they might introduce like dividends slightly low, extra tax. Long term capital gains again they'll change to something, or they keep changing long term capital gains, they'll change short term capital gains, then make it very unattractive for you to make money. They'll be like, you want to make money in this market, you pay us money back, right? You want to do this, more tax. You want to do this, pay 9% interest rate. You want to do this, pay dividend distribution tax. So the people will be like, you know what, let me just not spend so much. Car loan interest rate very high. Shit, car loan also is very high. So what it means, I should stop spending and I should start saving. So automatically people in the market will stop doing unnecessary demand, say, spendings, right? And they will start saving money. When you start saving money, automatically what will happen, most of the money is sitting in the bank accounts, and the economy will not grow. The inflation will automatically go down, because now, no, not, instead of 10 people bidding for a property, it's back to old times where two people are bidding for the economy, for the thing. That's
Okay.
how it works. So this repo rates and all this, what US keeps talking about, US Fed hike, right? And they're going to do it in 2013. This is the hike that they're talking about.
Hmm.
Correct? They will slowly increase the rates, increase the interest rates. When they increase the interest rates, it will start slowing down your economy, right? But if they do it too fast, what will happen? Crash. If they do it too fast, suddenly they increase it, everyone will stop. It will become a chaos, right? The US handles most of it. If you decrease it too fast, again chaos, right? It is like a tap. Now if you keep the tap flowing for too much in the bucket, the water is will overflow. Basically, that's inflation. Too much liquidity, water will overflow. So what they have to do is they have to shut down the tap and slowly remove the water out of the system, which is your liquidity out of the system. So
Hmm.
now next in 2023, this is going to start. What is going to start? Removing the liquidity out of the market is going to start. What will happen to the stock market because of this? Think
It
about
will
it.
come into a bearish phase a little.
Not bearish, maybe not bearish, right? Because people still have money. Most of them will remove their money from the stock market, maybe keep it in their fixed deposit or a bank account,
But
but it will not be
comparatively, it
bearish.
will slow down market.
It will not
That's
be a bull market. Why? Because paisa nahi hai abhi. So tomorrow in 2024, if an IPO comes out, it might not even get oversubscribed because paisa nahi hai dalne ke liye.
hmm.
So
So
it'll be a
is
normal chill market, flat markets, right? Which has
hmm.
been there in the last few years.
Now
Abhi after COVID, we have seen a bull run. Before that, the market used to not go up the way what Xleo going up by 82% was unheard of in that market, by the way. If you were watching the market in 13 to 16 to 17, 2013 to 2018, there was no 100% in 1 month, right? There was only
hmm.
scam of 100% in 1 month. In a year, you would get 15%, 13 to 15% in a year. Your portfolio would go up. That was considered very, very, very good. And if you are a smarter investor, like mutual funds were giving 13 to 15%. If you are smart, you could make maximum 20 to 25% if you are smart,
Yes.
right? In the bull market, everything's going up. Why? Because too much money. Everyone has money in their bank account. So they're all doing this. And how this too much money is coming, you'll be like, Shashank, but no, bank is not giving the money into everyone's bank account. Correct? That's also a question.
Yes.
How is this too much money coming into everyone's hands, you might ask, right? It's not coming into everyone's bank account.
The
How is
RBI is
it reaching you?
printing a lot of
Hmm?
money.
No, they print it, but still, how does it reach you as an individual? How does it reach me as an individual?
The salaries,
RBI is printing money.
salary
No, bank is
revenue
not
is
giving me, no, Aditya. How is bank giving it to me? So I'll tell you what, when too much, when you want to boost the economy, it is not only gold, it is not only real estate, it is not only stock market, it is other things also. Other things, like you might have heard things coming in the news talking about PLI schemes, tax deduction on PLI schemes, government schemes, government funding, right? When
hmm.
you give PLI schemes, PLI is basically product linked incentive. If you're investing in that, you get a subsidy, right? So, for example, Dixon, they get a subsidy. Now, that extra income that Dixon makes, where does it go? Right now, they can afford to pay their they can afford to pay their vendors slightly more. Vendor might be some Rahul who's selling some screen to Dixon. Now tomorrow Rahul will be like, you know what, मेरे को थोड़ा ज़्यादा चाहिए. Dixon will be like, cool, take it, have fun, 10% more. Now that 10% more that Rahul gets, gives it to his son, because his son will be like, you know what, अभी सब expensive हो गया है, movie ticket is expensive, instead of 5,000 pocket money, give me 7,000. That guy will be like, cool, beta, take 7,000, go enjoy. Now that boy takes that 7,000, goes into the market and gives it to some street vendor or buy some pani puri somewhere or the other, gives little more money to everyone. That's how it trickles down from top to bottom. The budget came, the budget, when the budget comes, the money is invested into different sectors, everyone gets a lot of money. When there is booming economy, everyone gets better bonuses, right? And then you see the startup funding boom that is happening, where the money is just flowing into startups, and there's startups are flowing and throwing it on influencers, throwing it in TV ads, throwing it on everyone else, so everyone's making money. The minute you suck out this money from the system, influencers will not have any more deals. Influencers will actually die in the future. I mean, not die, but will have a very tough time. And this is something that all the influencers in my space already are talking about, right? कि अभी अच्छा time चल रहा है, but the minute the liquidity is out of the system, nobody will get sponsored deals, right? So everyone's doing it right now so that abhi paisa le lo, because after 1 year, when the Fed increases and that whole effect comes up in 2024, nobody will have money in the market. Which company will come and pay an influencer and say, take this, right? Nobody will do that. And once COVID is over, who will sit and watch YouTube all the time? You guys will be in office, correct?
Yes.
8 hours a day. So who's going to sit and watch my videos on YouTube? So YouTube views also you won't get. And anyway, you don't make money on YouTube ads. It's like peanuts what you make. You make money on sponsorships and brand deals, which is also dried up. So all the influencers will get screwed up again. Then they have to, I don't know, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So now is like the golden time for a lot of companies, a lot of influencers, a lot of industries. After 1.5 years, it's gonna die up. So the bull market is gonna be there for it's there now. The minute the first Fed hike happens and the second Fed hike happens, you will slowly see the impact of it going down. Now, this is one school of thought. The
Okay.
other school of thought, right, is that the Fed will increase the interest rate. Okay, India also might increase the interest rate, but maybe not by so much, correct? But because India is a growing economy and it is a developing nation, it will bypass and continue the bull run. That is also another school of thought. US is already a developed nation, but we are developing still. So our growth potential with respect to China and US is massive, right? We will become much bigger because of the COVID. Everyone's realized that screw China, India is good. Look at chemical sector in India, very good. These companies are awesome. Look at healthcare in India, amazing, very good. Look at IT in India, very good, better than China, right? Look at all the steel companies in India, very good, better than China. So now people realize that India is also a very good hub. That is why when Modi says make in India, it was all a plan, right? Why was it a plan? Because people realized China got screwed, right? And no one is buying anything from China. And instead of some other company coming and saying, you know what, buy this steel or buy these products from us, Modi said, no, make in India, buy in India. If you build it in India, we'll give you cheaper rate, discount rate, become a global manufacturing hub. And because that was the time to take out China, it was a very strategic move and gave everyone incentives to build their business and to start getting global. Now, what is in it for Modi? Why does he want to do something like this? Or else, see, imagine if Singapore had done this. Make in Singapore. Everyone would have gone to Singapore. All the money would have diverted. World economy money would have diverted there, right? If the money comes to India, right? If money comes to India, then foreign exchange comes to India, dollars come to India, India becomes stronger as a nation. Now tomorrow, even if China recovers and everything goes back to normal, right, people will be like, no boss, China is giving at 50 rupees, India is giving at 55 rupees, but I trust India. Why? Because they're nice. Okay, I'll still go to China. I have one deal with China, but I have one deal with India as well. And that is what people are calling China plus one. That India is going to be China plus one. Earlier, it was only China. So Modi played a very good master stroke when China. It's like when your biggest competition like was having an issue, like a COVID situation. He stepped in and said, "Guys, all the people who are suffering in the world, come to India right now. Make in India. Open your factories. Do whatever you want. I'll give you everything for free. Aajao." Right? A lot of people said, you know what, he's doing this because of this, he's doing that. Now see, Adani also, he won so many contracts, he won so many deals, but all the money is coming inside India, right? And everyone's making money. It's not Modi bucked. I'm just talking about economy. I'm not talking about um, BJP or Congress, right? I'm not getting into politics. I'm only talking about why each decision was made on a macroeconomic level. You should always think why it is being made. I'm not saying some things are happening inside, right? वो तो होता ही रहेगा. That is common sense. But the Make in India push at that right point was so that we get more influx into our country, more capital, the GDP of our country will go, the per capita income of our country will grow, and everyone starts making money. Now, the only problem in India is the difference between the lower income group and the middle class and the higher class. That bridge is not being solved. That is the problem that is happening, and that is the problem that is there with every country, not only India. You think US don't have poor people? Go to USA, you will see there are a lot
Yes,
of beggars
definitely.
and homeless people in US also,
Yes.
right? Only in India kya hota hai, all these people come and show it nicely, dharavi dikhate hai, they'll show all these poor people in India and all that, but poor people are there everywhere in the world. If you go to Europe, most of them don't have basic income also. If you have ever gone to Europe, right? Most of
Yes.
them are making very, very less amount of money. Their per capita is very less. So that
So,
is what it is.
so Shashank, I also want to ask you one small thing. Like,
Hmm.
what I feel is there's not much financial literacy in India. So,
Correct.
if in later future also the rates will on majority basis will decline for the fixed deposits and banks also,
Correct.
so many people will tend towards mutual funds, and also so our AMC is good bet for the future long term.
Yeah. AMCs are, but how will you invest? You have to invest in an AMC company for that, right?
Like some AMCs are listed on stock exchange like HDFC and
Yes. So those AMCs, yes, definitely. See, when this COVID wave happened, a lot of people, including you guys, a lot of people in the chat have
yes,
realized
me
the
also.
importance of financial education.
Hmm.
Correct?
Yes, yes.
So just like you, maybe say 50 lakh people in COVID, after COVID, 50 lakh people came to know what is economy, what is money, what is finance. Shit, what is stock market? Shit, I didn't know so many things happen. I didn't know everything was so connected, right? Money is connected everywhere. Now, but that is nothing compared to how many people in India have to get educated. That is nothing. You go to a mango seller on the road and ask him what inflation is, he has no idea.
Yes.
He links inflation to the cost of potato has gone up. Okay, he'll just in his head the cost of potato went up. Why? Because the farmer who's giving me this potato is now using fertilizers, because the fertilizers price went up. In his logic, in his head, the fertilizer company ne rate बढ़ा दिया, 10 rupees से 15 rupees कर दिया. So the potato cost will also go up from 15 rupees to maybe 17 rupees. But that's not the case, right? There's one thing called demand, right? Your potato can be much valuable, more valuable if the demand is higher, number one. And second, why did the fertilizer price goes up? Now that he will never understand. The fertilizer price went up because one chemical component, maybe propanol or maybe methanol or ethanol, something in that thing went up. Why did it go up? Right? Maybe that went up because there was some issue that happened somewhere else, and because of that there was a global issue with respect to ethanol, and there was very less supply, and that is why the price went up. Imagine something that happened somewhere else, the price of ethanol goes up, and then the whole thing goes around. And this is exactly what happens with oil, right? In fact, the Saudi people, the OPEC, right? Have you seen the news where they come together and raise the price of oil? Have you seen that? That's the worst thing that you can do. They come together and they say, let's reduce supply. Okay, because I think too many people are selling. Let's all sit together and reduce supply and inflate the cost. What they don't understand is if you inflate the cost of oil, and if you inflate the cost of petrol and diesel, that trickles down to the entire economy, because someone transporting milk from point A to point B now has to pay 5 rupees more, right? And if you pay 5 rupees more, then the end user pays 5 rupees more. It's insane. So what people do in Dubai or Saudi affects a normal person sitting in a village, and he has no idea it's because of that. That's the best part, right? So that is why I keep saying everything is connected, dude. Apparently, I remember once the biggest connection I'd seen was Brazil is the biggest exporter of coffee. And there was some issue at one point with Brazil. So the coffee rates all over the world went up because the biggest exporter of coffee, which is Brazil, did not export coffee for a year because of some issue that happened internally in their country, and everything went up. Butterfly effect, yeah, everything went up. And people are like, coffee is so expensive. And Tata Coffee made a lot of money because why? Because they were selling at inflated prices. That's exactly what's happening with IT sector. Dollar went up, IT is going up, everyone's happy. The minute dollar, and by the way, who increases and decreases dollar price? Do you all know that? Do you know who handles the dollar price?
World Bank,
Like who tries to keep it in control?
World Bank or IMF maybe.
So the world economy will keep the dollar price going up and down, right? That is also there. You will be like, okay, US is a stronger nation, so the rupee is weak. Basically, dollar becoming more is equal to rupee becoming weak. First of all, if rupee is stronger, then we don't have to pay 75 rupees for $1. We'll be paying 50 rupees because rupee is awesome, like dollar sucks, okay? But that's not the case. So rupee is becoming weaker. Now, actually, if you think about it, the rupee dollar rate should actually be at 80 rupees right now. You know why it is not at 80 rupees? Because RBI sits and buys a lot of dollar from the open market. RBI removes and spends from its reserves that they have, or they'll print more money and they will take that reserves and buy dollars from the global market and take it back into India so that they have enough dollars in the market so that people are not running towards getting more dollars. So they buy the dollars and push it into the system so that the dollar rate does not go up so much.
So in exchange of what they buy dollars, like gold, silver, something.
They say it's from their reserves. Now, reserves can also be printed reserves, no?
Okay.
The reserves that they have money in their bank account. RBI is the sole authority of forex, as Adesh is saying. Now, they try to control the rates. I'm saying they try to keep it at check, and what they're doing is good. I'm not saying what they're doing is bad. They're doing good only. They're controlling the rates, but that is what it is. So it's actually a lot of hand of RBI is also there in a lot. So RBI, by the way, has the most difficult job in this country, right? The budget that comes out where everyone's always fucking disappointed. You know how difficult it is to set a bloody budget?
Yeah, you have
It
to
is,
make everyone happy with it also.
yeah, because everything has a butterfly effect. No, if I reduce the taxes for people, if I reduce the taxes for people, then what will happen? If you reduce taxes, a lot of people will get a lot of money in their bank account. They'll go start spending. Inflation will kick in, and then people after that cry saying, "Oh shit, why is inflation going up?" Now, how you'll sit and explain to them because I did this because that's why it's like that, right? So people always say reduce taxes, reduce taxes. Now, if you reduce taxes, look at the butterfly effect. If you reduce taxes, firstly, the government does not get money, which is obviously one of the biggest things that they'll get money from this. They don't get money, number one. So then what will happen? The government has to borrow from other people, go into deficit, and if the country goes into deficit, it's obviously not a good thing. It's a bad thing. That's one big problem. So the company has to have tax. Now look at Dubai. They don't have tax. Now see what happened in Dubai if there's no tax. Hyperinflation. Everything's expensive. Cost of living in Dubai is so expensive.
Yes.
Why? Because no tax. Everyone has a lot of money. So tax is actually a necessary evil. You get my point? It
Yes,
keeps
yes, yes.
everything at check. It's a necessary evil. Now the smart rich people don't pay enough tax. They pay tax, but they don't pay 30%. They pay 15%. They find a
How?
way to pay 15%. That's a whole another episode, bro.
Yes.
Lot of left, right, center, but it's all accounting. And if you know accounting, if you're a CA or if you know accounting very well,
Yes, yes,
you
yes.
will know how to you will know how to do that also. People don't pay 30% tax, they pay 15% tax, even if you're in the 30% bracket, right? So this
Hmm.
is what it is. Yeah, I should actually cut this and make it into a podcast. Once if you're there, just that one part where I've explained everything, you should cut it and we should make it a podcast.
Okay.
Again, hope you guys understood. Hope now you understood why finance is so complicated and people, whenever, that's why I feel sad when Sitaram comes and gives the budget, because anyone comes and gives any budget, it can never be a perfect budget. Perfect budget does not exist. So whatever you do, people will be disappointed, and if people are disappointed, then the companies are disappointed, right? Companies are not disappointed, people are happy, then the people blame the companies will blame people. Invariably everyone blames one person who's a finance minister. I don't know how she sleeps in the night, to be honest. It's a very tough job, very tough job, because one 0.5% difference here and there can make an economy or break an economy. That is how it is.
Of course.
That is exactly how it is. So yeah. Cool. Awesome, guys. I think this is a very long session, but
Thank you,
very informative.
Shashank, for explaining the whole thing. Uh,
No issues, man.
Giving me time.
Good question, by the way. Bhuvanesh, very good question.
Actually, I am thinking of learning economics at my own, so
No, you
I
should just
think
understand.
yes,
Just
yes.
understand how the US Fed rates affect India. Just Google that. It's very simple. Just Google it. You'll see everything. All information written. Cool.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yes,
Chalo. See you
yes.
guys. Great
Thank
session
you.
today. Have a great day. Bye bye.